Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Dr. J, back with another episode of Let It Flow with Dr. J. I'm excited to be here, as always, as God lays things on my heart to share with his people. And I'm always excited to share the word, to share encouragement, to uplift, to empower people, and to especially my women of color and my girls of color, because a lot of times we need that person to come into our lives that's more of that ray of sunshine that can help us with navigating life and to be able to understand where we are and how we can move forward in our lives to have better, to have bigger, to have bolder, to have more of what we desire and what God desires for us. And so one thing that he laid on my heart was helping individuals understand that it's important for us to stop walking in our past and stop walking into what was, but really embracing what is. So letting go of what the past was for us and stopping holding on to the past, but actually reaching out and grasping our future and really being able to walk in what is and letting go of people, places, and things that no longer serve a purpose in our lives. Sometimes we have situations that have happened. We've had past hurt, whether it's from childhood trauma, whether it's from relationships that you've been in, and that could be whether it's a partner, a spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want to classify it as, or it could be a friendship that you had that relationship just didn't quite work out, and you just feel like, man, I'm really struggling with moving away from this thing or letting go of whatever this is and walking forward, moving forward in my life. And I know that place all too well because it's so easy to dwell in past hurt. It's so easy to dwell and to really think about the people that were in our lives, especially if it was something that was said or done, or we were that hurt us, or we were treated a certain way that really hurt us to our core. Sometimes it's so difficult to navigate our way through that to get to the other side where we're no longer feeling that same hurt, where we're no longer dwelling in that place of misery or dwelling in the depression that can sometimes come about in our lives when we've dealt with certain things. It could even be something as, I've worked 20 years on this job and then all of a sudden they laid me off and I didn't even expect it to happen. I didn't see this coming. And sometimes we're like, man, this really happened. Or sometimes we leave places because we are in a space of transition, but we continue to look back at the people, at the job, at the things that we once had. And we're like, man, I remember when. I remember when this was this or this was that. I remember when I was in this particular space. And then we're still dwelling on what was in our past or who was in our past. And so we have to get to the point in our lives where we fully rest in God and his promises for our lives, his plans that he has for our lives, because he has plans. And the plans for our lives, yes, we're going to face trials and tribulations while we're here. At no point in the Bible that it tells us that as believers that we're going to be living a life where we don't have hurt, where we don't have pain, where we don't have trials and tribulations. It doesn't say that. It does tell us that we are going to have those trials and tribulations, but we have to remember to be of good cheer. We have to remember to keep our hope, our faith, and our trust in God. We have to remember to keep our eyes on God and to stay focused on what He's calling us to do, who He's calling us to be, and the plans that He has for our lives. And sometimes that's the part that we actually forget because we get so caught up in what hurt us. We get so caught up in who hurt us that we again dwell in those places of misery. We dwell in those places of defeat. We dwell in those places of depression, of anxiety, of all of the negativity, because that's what we feel that we know. That's what we feel that we're stuck in. And I'm here to tell you that you're not stuck. That's not, you don't have to dwell in depression. You don't have to dwell in a place of misery. You don't have to dwell in past hurt. You don't even have to dwell in the hurt from past relationships or the people who failed you, the people who walked out on you, the people who hurt you at your core. You don't have to dwell in those places because that's not what God wants us to do. That's not what He wants for our lives. And we have to know that. We have to understand that even in our hurt, even in our pain, even in the things that make us so uncomfortable, God is right there with us. He understands every single thing that we could face, every experience that we have. He feels what we feel. And we have to rest in knowing that God understands. He knows all, sees all, hears all, He feels it. And so there's nothing that we could ever face, nothing that we could ever experience, no hurt that could ever be too great that He wouldn't understand. And in the same sense, there's nothing that we could ever face or experience that He can't see us through. But we have to be willing to let go of everything, everyone, and every place that no longer serves a purpose in our lives and that's not supposed to be a part of the next phase of our journey. And I think sometimes that's the hardest part for us is because we are sometimes creatures of habit. If it's a place where we're comfortable, if it's a place where we've grown to be complacent, if it's a place where we really know this place, this is familiar for us, then we want to stay in those places or stay in those relationships, even though God is calling us higher, even though we know in our heart of hearts and in our minds that we don't need to be here. This thing no longer needs to be a part of our life. This person no longer needs to occupy space in my mind, in my heart, or in my life. But sometimes we continue in those spaces. Sometimes we continue to dwell on what was instead of walking into what is. And that's a dangerous place to be. Dwelling in our past, dwelling in hurt, dwelling in misery, dwelling in anxiety, dwelling in depression, dwelling in places that no longer serve a purpose is a dangerous, dangerous place to be. We're not allowing ourselves to grow. We're not allowing ourselves to be challenged. We're not allowing ourselves to stretch. We're not allowing God to take us from glory to glory and to take us to new levels, to new heights, to greater depths. We're not allowing that because we're so laser focused on where we are. We're so laser focused on what was. We're so laser focused on who was there and who walked out and how that made us feel that we're not allowing ourselves to experience a greater and a better life, the life that God really intends for us to have. We're not even allowing Him to bring the plans that He has for our lives to fruition because we're so focused on the past. We're so focused on what was. And so we have to get it in our hearts, in our minds, in our spirits that change has to happen, that past hurt, past things that don't really need to be in our lives, we have to let go of those things. We have to remove those things from our lives, even if it may hurt us. And a lot of times it does hurt when you're trying to move past brokenness, when you're trying to forgive a person that's hurt you, when you're trying to let go of a situation that may have shaken you at your core, when you're trying to let go of situations that really turns your life upside down. It can hurt. It can feel overwhelming. It can feel like a lot. It can feel impossible to let go of those things or to move on with your life, but it really is something that can be done. And it's about taking baby steps. Sometimes it's just putting one foot in front of the other, and it's a whole lot of prayer, a whole lot of spending time with God, a whole lot of giving Him that hurt, giving Him that brokenness, releasing. all of the things that are weighing on us, and allowing him to take those burdens away from us, allowing him to be God and God alone in our situations, and allowing ourselves to remove those things from our lives, and to not focus so heavily on what happened, but rather who God is and what he's capable of doing in our lives. And so sometimes, even when I've had to deal with situations that it's like, man, that really happened. That really hurt me. This person really walked out of my life. This person really lied to me. This person really tried to mistreat me. They mishandled me. You have your moments where you sit and you think about those things and you're like, man, that was really messed up. And that's okay to have those moments. It's okay to really acknowledge the hurt, to acknowledge the past, to acknowledge that I really didn't appreciate that. I really didn't like me. That really hurt me. That devastated me. It's okay to acknowledge those things. It's okay to say out loud, or to even say it in your mind or your heart, like, I really feel hurt. I really was let down. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that. There's nothing wrong with feeling like that is a part of what happened in your life, but the point is not to dwell there. The point is to acknowledge what happened, to deal with what happened, to allow God to help you to get through what happened, but to also take that hurt and that pain, that discomfort, whatever it is, to allow yourself to move past those things, and not to be again laser focused on who hurt you or what hurt you, understanding it did happen, looking to understand, okay, God, why did this happen? What was the lesson that I needed to learn from this situation, or from this relationship, from this hurt, from this pain? What did I need to learn in my life in that season? What is it that you were trying to show me? What is it that you're trying to get me to understand, even in this moment, as I'm dealing with this situation? And then allowing God to take you to a different place in your life. Sometimes we have to use the past hurt to propel us to what's next. And that's where the acknowledgement piece comes in. That's where the lesson comes in, the lesson that we needed to learn, especially if it's a situation where we caused the hurt ourselves, where we knowingly walked into situations or relationships that we know we should not have walked in, where or we allowed certain things that in our right mind we knew that that was something that was bad for us, or that person was not good for us, and we allowed it anyway. Or it was a situation where we may not have known that in the beginning when we walked into it, but as soon as we knew it, we made the decision, we made the choice to stay with that person or to stay in that situation, and we knew that it wasn't healthy. We knew that it wasn't of God. We knew that all of the red flags, all of the alarms, everything was like back up, go away, stop, move to a different direction, flag on the play, like whatever it is, we knew like everything was telling us to stop, to back away, to remove ourselves. But sometimes we continue to walk in those places, in those things, in those relationships, and then when we get hurt, we're tucking our tail between our legs trying to figure out, how did this happen? I didn't see this coming. It's like, but you did. It's something that you walked into. It's something that you allowed when you knew better. And even in those situations, the good thing about God and his character is that he still cares. He still loves us. He still has plans for our lives. He still wants to be a part of our lives. He still wants to be invited in, even if we are the ones who created the mess. God still loves us enough to know that he's to help us through these things, even the things that we caused on our own. So if you're in that space where you are the person that caused the situation to happen, still know that God is with you. God cares for you. God still has great plans for your life, and he's going to see you through whatever the situation may be. If you're the person where somebody hurt you and you didn't see it coming, you're not the person who's responsible for it. Like, you didn't do anything to ask for that hurt, to ask for that pain, to ask for whatever it is that caused pain in your life. God still understands that. God still saw what happened to you. He saw who mistreated you. He understood everything that happened to you, and he's still going to bring about good things in your life. He's still going to have a plan for your life that's going to make you prosper. And he also is the vindicator. He's the person that he gets the vengeance. Okay? He's the person that will deal with whomever hurt you. He's the person that's going to deal with whoever came into your life and tried to destroy you. He's the person that's going to take care of that. And so that's another thing that we can rest in, is knowing that God is the vindicator for his people, knowing that he is the Lord of hosts, knowing that he is the person that's going to go to battle for his children, for his anointed, for the apple of his eye. He's going to be the one to go to battle for you. And so you don't even have to sit and dwell in, how am I going to pay this person back? How am I going to get revenge on this person? How am I going to take care of this situation? How am I going to rectify whatever happens in my life? How am I going to get this job back for letting me go? How dare they lay me off? And all my blood, sweat, and tears that I have given to this place, how dare they downsize? How dare they get rid of my position? How dare they do it? God saw all of that. He saw it coming before it happened. Just like the hurt, the people that mistreated you, the people who mishandled you, he saw that before it happened. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to bring you out. That doesn't mean that he doesn't know how to put you in new places and new situations and new relationships where he is going to get the glory, and where you will have to stand back and say, you know, God, I thank you. I went through this situation. This person mishandled me, but you brought me into a whole new space, a whole new situation, a whole new place. You gave me a brand new job opportunity that was more than I could ever have prayed for. You did this for me. I can't even dwell on what happened or what was, because you made a way. You blessed me beyond measure. You gave me back tenfold of what I lost, because that's how great and amazing God is. That's how he looks at us, and he takes care of his children. But if we are continuing to allow our minds to stay in a defeated mindset, if we are continuing to dwell on the past, if we are adamant about staying in the place that we're in, we're telling God we don't need him to help us. We're telling God that we're comfortable, we're good being in this place, even though he's calling us higher, even though he has better plans, greater plans for our lives. We're telling him we're good where we are. We're okay with the anxiety. We're okay with the depression. We're okay with being in this miserable place, even though we know that that's not where we're supposed to be, and that's not where he's calling us to be. But once you take that moment to acknowledge that hurt, to be honest with yourself and with God about how you feel, what hurt you, who hurt you, and then you allow God to show you the lesson in that hurt, in that pain, in whatever that past situation was, and then you trust him with your future. You trust him with your right now. You trust him to take you to the next level in your life. He's going to do just that. He's going to bring you out of wherever you are, if your focus, if your gaze is on him, and allowing him to be who he is, and to do the things that he can do and only he can do in your life. You're going to see a change. You're going to see certain things that just kind of melt away, because you're like, God, I stopped focusing on my past. I stopped focusing on my hurt. I stopped focusing on my brokenness. I stopped focusing on my misery. And I shifted my focus and my mindset to really focusing on you, who you are, all that you have done in my life, even the host of witnesses that's in the Bible, all of the things that you've done in their lives, for how you have actually gave them vindication, for how you have taken them from glory to glory, for how you have blessed them beyond measure, to be able to see those witnesses and even people in our own lives where we can see like, man, that person went through all of this, but God still brought them out. He still gave them beauty for ashes. He still brought them up and they ain't even smell like smoke. You couldn't even tell what they've been through because of God's hand on their life. You wouldn't even know my story unless I told you. So being able to shift from being in that hurt and broken space to again acknowledging what has happened, acknowledging how it made you feel, but not being okay with dwelling and becoming complacent in that space, but rather being okay with saying, God, take my brokenness, take my hurt, take all of the things that I'm dealing with in my life, everything that I have had to endure in my life, and allowing me to shift past this space. To shift past this place so that I can see the glory that you have for my life, so I can see you do great and mighty things in my life, but also through me. What's my testimony that you want me to share with others so that other people know how great you are and how far I've come because of who you are and because of the works that you have done in my life? You are a God of completion. You are a God that you don't start something and then say, nah, I'm tired. I don't want to finish that. You can take it from here. No, you are a God who finishes what he starts. And so being able to trust God and knowing that he's going to take you wherever he needs to take you and being along for the ride. I tell you, I believe in riding shotgun while he takes the wheel, because I don't want to be in control of everything, because that is too much for my little mind, too much for my heart, too much for my spirit, too much for me as a whole to be able to try to navigate on my own. So I choose to let my past go. I choose to let people, things, places go that no longer serve a purpose in my life, and to walk into what is, to walk into where God is calling me to be, who he's calling me to be, and to be in a space of, God, I thank you for my past. I thank you for the hurt. I thank you for everything that I had to endure. And I thank you for my right now. I thank you for what you are about to do in my life. I thank you for how amazing you are. I thank you for how you have carried me when I couldn't even carry myself. I thank you for being my fortress, my strength, my refuge. I thank you for being a sovereign God and for being in my life and for helping me to get through every challenge, every trial, every tribulation, every hurt that I had to endure while I'm on this side. And being able to rest and knowing that God's plans supersedes any hurt and any plans that we could have for our own lives. And he's going to show up right on time, and he's going to help us and meet us exactly where we are if we allow him to. So I want you guys to hold on to God's hand, to have faith in him, to keep your eyes focused on him, and to let go of everything that you are holding on to that, again, no longer serves a purpose in your life, and that's occupying space in your mind, in your heart, and in your life, but it shouldn't be. I leave you with scriptures, Jeremiah 29:11, Psalms 37:8, Deuteronomy 31:8. Meditate on those scriptures and allow God to make the changes that needs to be made in your life, but make sure that you are letting go and you're removing all the things that you are holding on to so that he can do what only he can do in your life. Hit the like button, subscribe so you can be the first to be able to hear when I drop a new video. Share it with your friends, your family. And again, let's just make today a great day wherever you are, whatever time it is. Make today a great day and let go of your past. Y'all be blessed.